Hello, Stewart saying, I just did a video about Indiana Jones and how it was doing at the box office and some of the interviews that I saw with Phoebe Waller-Bridge and George Lucas and so forth, and the fact that Phoebe sort of takes responsibility for the direction of the film and also sort of implicates Kathleen Kennedy for a lot of it as well. But the reviews are kind of split in some ways. There are actually a lot of people saying they liked the film, they loved the film. Now, some of these people may just be contrarian, like Matt Jarbo, for example. He seemed to really love the film, and no one seems to really love the film. And I'm like, is he just wanting to just annoy the chuds? Is that all that is, or is it genuine? I'm not sure. I wouldn't put that past him because he does just like a fight sometimes. But most of the time I agree with what he says, so I'm not bothered by that. But it does seem to be. He does seem to have a bit more praise for the film than the average critic. But most people say the overall film, does feel like an Indiana Jones film more so than the Crystal Skull. The music's great. Harrison Ford in sections of the film is great. Indy in sections of the film is great. But then there's other sections of the film where there's a huge tonal shift when they move times and they change the age of Harrison's character and so forth. And they're quite jarring, and the ending is depressing, and there are parts of it that really don't work, but there are parts that do. So I'm getting kind of mixed reviews where people either liked the film but had criticisms, they didn't like the film but had compliments, or they sort of had both, where they enjoyed parts of it and didn't enjoy other parts of it. And then there's the very few sort of people who say it's great, which I do wonder if they're just being contrarian and just wanting to have the other video that says it's great that people watch. I just had to comment on that. But so far as Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, she does seem to be incredibly irritating. A lot of people are criticising that the most consistent criticism is that the character is rude and mean-spirited and snarky and just not entertaining or fun, or not, someone you wouldn't want to be around. You wouldn't want to sit in a movie watching this character, and you wouldn't want to follow this character into another film series. And some of the defences have been, well, we're trying to sort of do a different version of Willie and sort of do that sort of character, but it just doesn't work the same. And yeah, so I'm not really sure because I haven't seen the film. I'm just sort of talking about people's opinions and reviews about it. But there was some talk of bringing back Short Round, and that they were going to have I can't remember his name. Is it Key? Oh God, I'm sorry, I should have written it down. He was going to come back and have a sort of cameo towards the end of the film. They wanted to bring back all the characters that were in the other films, like Mutt and Short Round, and have them have a cameo and have some small part in the film and in this journey. But Kathleen and Phoebe just said, no, that just didn't work for us. Apparently they didn't care about the actors, they didn't care about the characters, they didn't care about the fans. It was just, this is our vision of this film. It really does come across as very narcissistic and very self-destructive and self-involved, and now the film isn't making a lot of money yet. Okay, it's 2 days in, but the indications are it's not going to make the kind of money it needs to make, because this is another one of those $200-300 million films which need to make like $1 billion to make any money, because they have to make like 3 or 4 times their budget, because people don't seem to realize the cinemas take a cut, and that cut changes, and it depends on international. Sometimes international, you may make a lot of money, but they get 60 or 70% of the actual money they get to keep, and the studio only gets like 30%. So you make 100 million, they get 30 million. So it's not, people are very basic. They go like, oh, it made 500 million, so it cost 300 million. Well, they made 200 million. No, they only got about 150, about 200 of that, or maybe 250 of that 500 million. So they're still 50 short. So people don't seem to understand that. So a lot of little issues. That's why I end up doing 2 videos. I probably just should have kept talking, done a 10-minute video. But less people are going to watch it all the way through. And, it fills the space. I'd like to have a couple of videos a day, just habit. And there's usually something to talk about that I want to talk about. And today's indie. So yeah, I'm shocked that Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I keep wanting to call her Greta Gerwig, or whatever her name is, the one who's doing Barbie. Phoebe Waller-Bridge basically took responsibility in a couple of interviews for pretty much all the creative choices in the film, except for basically implicating Kathy in a few of them as well, and acknowledged that they knew the fans wouldn't want this, wouldn't like it. They knew that George and that were opposed to things, but They just said, this is what we want to do, we're going to do it, we don't care about anyone else, basically. And I'm just shocked that they actually admitted that. And I'm believing a lot of the criticisms of the film because most of the reviews are saying the same thing, that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is just a very unpleasant, aggressive character, and her sidekick is unnecessary and basically the same. And they're trying to build up these new characters at the expense of the old characters. When people want the old characters, they want Indy to have one last adventure. We want to see all the other characters who are in the films, see that they're doing great, have everyone win and be happy, and go off on a high note, kind of like Star Trek 6. But because that film almost was undone by the same sort of idea.